Assalam and good evening to you, my friends. Welcome to the great bazaar of Agrabah, city of mystery, of enchantment, and the finest merchandise this side of the River Jordan. What can I do for you today? May I interest you in this fine chalice? It may look like the simple cup of a carpenter, but I have been told it has been used by none other than... Oh, no, wait, please don't go. Perhaps a traveler such as yourself might be interested in something of a more mystical nature. This monkey's paw may look small and insignificant, but it is said to have the power to grant wishes. No, don't go. I can see that you are not interested in something quite so macabre. Perhaps something of a magical nature, which is a little less cursed. Something of a diamond in the rough, you might say. I think then you would be most rewarded to consider this. Screaming Genie was released by Waddingtons in 1992, a fact that I am sure has absolutely nothing to do with Disney releasing the feature film Aladdin in that very same year. The box art, and indeed the entire theming of the game, is based on the story of Aladdin. You know the tale? A street urchin, rough around the edges but pure of heart, is persuaded to venture into the mysterious cave of wonders in search for a magical lamp, one which possesses a genie or jinn capable of granting wishes. What happened next is a tale for another time, but suffice to say that lamp changed the young man's life forever. Disney's release may be the most well-known telling of the tale, but the story, thought to be ancient even then, was first published in 1710 in the French collection Les Mille et Une Nuits, or as we have come to know it today, 1001 Arabian Nights. The frantic 3D race game with the screaming sound. The box art features a gloriously rendered jinn, a painting which would not be out of place on any pantomime poster. The box boasts that this game won a Good Toy Guide award, a fact that fills me with intrigue and, quite frankly, perplexion. I have no way of knowing what the award was actually for, but at a guess I would imagine it was for innovative design, for this game is unlike any other I have in my collection. The back of the box is dominated by a very large photograph of the components used within this game, as well as a brief background to the game itself. In a deep, dark cave lies a magical lamp full of precious stones, carefully guarded by a sleeping but fearsome genie. Each stone has magical powers and could make your dreams come true. So who will dare to be first to rub the lamp and take one of the precious stones? But be careful. If the genie awakens, you will be forced into a frantic race against time to save your stones and stop the genie as he screams and screams and screams. Like the ancient lamp, and indeed Aladdin himself, it is what is inside, not outside, that truly counts. So let us call up a street rat to take a closer look at this most strange and unusual game for us. The main component of this game is Aladdin's magical lamp. It comes in two pieces which just slot together to make the oil lamp. You can see it's nicely molded. We've got some nice decorations on here, and it's obviously been made to look like the classical lamp from the story of Aladdin. We've got some jewel stickers on here. These are a little bit weak, I suppose, and I think this lamp's granted quite a few wishes because these stickers seem to have got rubbed over time and the image is starting to come off. If these had been replaced by some kind of acrylic or plastic jewel, that would be much nicer rather than just a sticker, but it serves its purpose. On top of the lamp here is a spinner, and this spinner is very much like the Atlantean spinner from Waddington's Escape from Atlantis. It's the same kind of concept. To set up the game, we take the lamp, put it in position, and this section here, which looks a little bit odd, is where we're going to attach our genie balloon and pump it up. The game comes with 3 or 4 of these kind of genie balloons here. They're just normal balloons with the Screaming Genie printed on there. Now, I've only got 1 in this game, and out of the 12 that I've seen on eBay, 6 of them, or half, are missing the balloons completely. Now, I believe that there is about 3 different colours of balloons which came with the game. I've only got 1 green one, and I'll show you exactly why I'm not going to use this balloon. The balloon gets stretched over the top of this part here, all the way down, and once it is stretched and on there securely, we can get the balloon pump. With the pump, the first thing we need to do is take this long piece of plastic tubing here, and with this end attach it to the bottom of our lamp quite securely like that. The other end here will then attach to our actual balloon pump. This is just a simple, quite thin plastic pump, and that attaches onto the end here. Now, this is one of the problems with this game, is that it's supposed to attach to the end here, but there is no way that this will actually attach without falling off. So this is a bit of a design flaw. So you need to really hold that in place while you are pumping up the balloon. Having partially inflated the balloon, you can see exactly why I am not going to be using this authentic balloon. These are about 28 years old, these balloons. You can see this is obviously not meant to be here, and if I try to inflate this anymore, these weak spots here and here are most definitely going to pop, and that would completely ruin it. So I am not going to use these balloons, but instead I'm going to use just a normal green balloon that I got in a packet from the supermarket. So here I have my stand-in balloon, which I've just used a Sharpie to try and copy the Screaming Genie image onto it, just to make it a little more interesting. Obviously, you don't need the image on it, you can just use any old balloon and that will work for this. Once you've pumped it up, the game recommends pumping 20 times. You can then just disconnect the tube and that will stay inflated. You're then ready to insert the precious stones into the lamp. The game comes with 20 of these, but you don't actually need all 20. If you're playing with 4 players, then you only need to use 19 stones. If you're going for a 3-player game, you use 17 stones, and for 2 players, you use 15 stones. Any stones that you don't use, you put back into the box. These are obviously just cast in red plastic, and each one has a little kind of gold dot on one side, and that will be important later. I'm going to go for a 2-player game for the example here, so I'm going to use 15 stones. So what we do is we just pull up the lid of the lamp and we place those 15 stones down in here and then close the lid back down. When it's the first player's go, they need to rub the lamp in order to spin the spinner. Now obviously it looks much better from a thematic point of view that you are rubbing the lamp in order to get this spinner to move, but it's actually a lot easier if you just hold the top and spin it like that. When the spinner stops spinning, the ball bearing will either land in a white or a red slot. If it lands in a white slot, you don't do anything at all, and that's the end of your go. If it lands in a red slot, then you've got to try and take out a jewel without waking the genie. If nothing happens, you take out one of the precious stones and you put it into this little tumbler here. Each player has one of these. There are 4 tumblers. It's just a little gold plastic tumbler with a sticker on it, but it's quite nice and it's useful. Once you've put it in there, you close the lid, and then it's the next player's turn. And play just continues like that. Each player takes it in turn to spin the spinner, and if it lands on a red, to lift the lid and take out a precious stone and add it to their pot. Obviously, the whole point of this game is to try to be the player with the most precious stones at the end of the game. The game continues until there are no precious stones left in here at all. Sometimes though, when you rub the lamp and you spin the spinner and you pick it up, the genie will start screaming. And this thing is really loud and a horrible, horrible sound. Jeez. Phew. Let's cut that out just now. When that happens, you have to race the genie. When the genie starts screaming, you've got to work as quickly as you can because you've got to try and complete your task before the genie stops screaming. Or in other words, before the balloon runs out of air, because that's exactly what is causing that horrendous screeching noise. You need to take your precious stone out of the lamp that you've just reached in to get and put it into your tumbler. Then, as quickly as you can, you shake your tumbler and you're going to pour out your precious stones onto the ground. Any of them that land with the dot up, you get to leave there. All the other ones that are not dot up, you have to put back into your tub and you've got to go again. And you've got to keep on doing that over and over until you manage to get all of your jewels to land with the dot side up. If it's not dot side up, it's got to go back in. Just got 2 more to do here. And all the while, that horrible, horrible screeching sound is on. As soon as you get all of those with the dot up, you then, I was going to say slam, but you carefully push down the top of the lamp and stop the screaming sound. With all that screaming going on, the balloon will then obviously have deflated because the air needed for the screaming sound has come out through the valve in the bottom and you've lost some of that. That means that the next time that the genie starts screaming, you're going to have less time because there's less air. So the more times it screams, the harder it gets. If you manage to roll all of those jewels with the dots up before the genie stops screaming, then you get to keep all of those jewels. If the genie stops screaming before you roll dot side up on all of those jewels, you're going to have to put all of them back. At that point, once you've put them back, you're then going to re-inflate the genie and keep going. Now, how this game actually works inside, I have absolutely no idea. There's obviously some kind of valve inside here so that the genie either screams or doesn't scream, but that valve is set to being on or off by the random motion. And that randomness is being set on or off on the spin of this spinner. So I'm guessing it's something inside to do with centrifugal force, but I'm really not quite sure. And the way that it's structured, there's no screws or anything in here, so it's not like it's easy to take apart. If there were screws, I would actually take this apart and look at what was inside. But there's no way of me actually getting this apart without breaking it. That's probably because it needs to be airtight at some point. But it also means that it really is a bit of a mystery. I'm not sure what's going on here. If anybody knows, I would love to find out. So for me, Aladdin's lamp here really is as mysterious as its story counterpart. The game then is well made and not likely to break, though the chances of you finding original balloons which are still usable is quite low. Of all the components, the one that causes me the most problems is the balloon pump. Apart from not really connecting very well, I cannot help but think of Austin Powers.
Oh, behave.
But this is certainly a unique game. The screaming balloon mechanism for timing is something I have not come across in any other board game in my searches. However, the high-pitched screaming noise does, I feel, make this game one which you are not likely to play very often. The screaming is exceptionally annoying and one which would drive parents and indeed just adults playing the game a bit nuts. For that fact, I do not see this intriguing game being played very often. For sheer design innovation, however, it is one that is worth picking up. This game on eBay retails for between £10 and £15 plus postage, though I was lucky that a friend of mine was able to find this for just £3 in a charity shop for me. I see you are not interested in purchasing this from me, so never mind. Until next time, I have plenty more games in my collection to interest you in. As you go about your business, just be careful out there in the desert, for a fool off his guard may fall, and fall hard, out there in the dunes.